Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast, where we decode the trends, strategies, and insights that drive smart property investment. I'm your host, and today we're tackling a hot-button topic in the world of real estate, flipping. This episode is titled, Understanding Real Estate Flipping, Myth versus Reality. House flipping, buying low, renovating fast, and selling high has become almost mythologized thanks to reality shows and influencer content. But here's the truth. Flipping isn't a shortcut to wealth. It's a capital-intensive, risk-prone strategy that rewards precision, not hype. Let's start with a familiar scenario. Back in 2021, I was consulting for a couple from Denver, new investors with some cash on hand and a lot of ambition. They had just binge-watched a season of Home Makeover TV and were convinced they could flip a property in under 60 days with a 20% margin. We walked through their first deal together. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath ranch-style home listed for $280,000. Outdated interiors, old roof, and some foundational issues. They planned to spend $30,000 on renovations. But here's what they missed. Holding costs, mortgage, insurance, and utilities over 3 to 4 months, permit delays that pushed renovations past their ideal timeline, buyer negotiation after inspection. In the end, their net profit was under $8,000. Not bad, but not what they expected. And it took more time, stress, and working capital than they were ready for. So, let's unpack the myths. Myth 1. Flipping is quick and easy reality. The average flip takes over 180 days from acquisition to resale. That includes time for inspections, permitting, contractor scheduling, and marketing the property. Myth 2. Renovation costs are predictable. Reality. Unless you have extensive contracting experience or a trusted team, budgets tend to run over by 15 to 25%, especially on older properties. Myth 3. High ROI is guaranteed reality. Most flippers target a minimum of 15 to 20% return on investment, but after taxes, agent fees, and overruns, many net under 10%. Here's a smarter framework for approaching flips. 1. Buy below market value. Look for properties where you can negotiate at least 15% below ARV, after repair value. Motivated sellers, estate sales, and properties with cosmetic-only issues are key. 2. Run a conservative budget. Include line items for contingency, price inflation, and contractor delays. Get 3 quotes per trade before committing. 3. Know the buyer profile. Are you selling to a first-time home buyer, a retiree, a short-term rental investor? Tailor finishes and upgrades accordingly. Don't over-renovate for the neighborhood. 4. Time the sale. Seasonality matters. In most markets, late spring and early summer yield higher comps and faster closings. 5. Control the exit. Have a backup plan. If the flip doesn't sell in 90 days, could you refinance and rent it short-term or long-term? Let me share a win. A client in Tampa picked up a foreclosure at $240,000, put in $28,000 in upgrades, and sold at $372,000. Why did it work? The Reno budget was locked in with a GC contract, they staged it for maximum buyer appeal, and they listed the first weekend of May. But I've also seen flips that lost money, overpaid for acquisition, underestimated rehab scope, or priced too high in a softening market. So is flipping worth it? If you approach it with discipline, data, and strong vendor relationships, yes. But if you're chasing it as a fast track to financial freedom without the foundation, it will burn you out fast. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Real Estate Podcast. If you're enjoying these deep dives into real-world investment strategy, subscribe and share it with someone considering their first flip. Next week, we'll talk about property valuation, how to decode market comps, assess true value, and avoid the most common pricing mistakes investors make. Until then, keep your numbers sharp and your strategy sharper.